Hello everyone, welcome to the 5-Minute Discovery channel. It is an interesting fact that we are always interested and curious about the political situation in countries around the world. About a year ago, the image of the Afghan president shedding tears and the planes evacuating the capital Kabul caused a strong shock. Stories about this country became a hot topic on social networks and media, reminding many people of the last days of the Vietnam War. In this video, we will explore the multi-dimensional stories about Afghanistan, from geography, history to culture, all closely linked together. The video will take you on a journey to learn about the war between the US and the Taliban in Afghanistan. Why did the Taliban win so quickly? How are the Taliban and Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda similar or different? Are they the same organization? These questions will be answered through a rich source of material, compiled from many prestigious articles in Europe and around the world. Join us on an emotional journey, discovering the unknown aspects of Afghanistan and the war that shaped the fate of millions of people here. Don't miss the opportunity to learn these interesting and touching things. First, let's explore a little about Afghanistan, a country full of mystery and complexity. Afghanistan is a landlocked country, located between two important landmasses, Central Asia and South Asia. With this strategic location, Afghanistan borders Pakistan to the southeast, Iran to the west, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan to the north, as well as China to the northeast. The country consists of 34 provinces and about 38 million people, ranking among the 40 most populous countries in the world, with an area of about 653.000 square kilometers. Afghanistan is also known as one of the most mountainous countries in the world. The capital, Kabul, located at an altitude of more than 2.00 meters above sea level, gives this place a majestic, but also challenging landscape. What's more special is that Afghanistan is famous for being the largest opium producer in the world. Most of the opium fields are concentrated in the southwest, creating a controversial and complex industry. According to a 2020 survey, about 224.00 hectares of land here are used for opium cultivation. In the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, the lives of Afghans have become more tragic than ever. Before the pandemic, about 54.5% of the population lived below the poverty line. This number has increased to 72% when the pandemic combined with the prolonged wars. Afghanistan, a country that has experienced many ups and downs, has been occupied and influenced by the world's greatest powers at each stage of its history. In the 13th century, Genghis Khan invaded the region. This was followed by fierce wars with British colonialism in the 19th and early 20th centuries, along with the presence of the Soviet Union and the United States in later stages. In particular, the Soviet-Afghan War, which began in December 1979, lasted a decade and is considered an important part of the Cold War. This war is considered one of the main causes leading to the collapse of the Soviet Union. After the Soviet withdrawal in 1989, Afghanistan fell into a brutal civil war, marked by the emergence of insurgent forces. In 1996, the Taliban took power, marking an important milestone in the country's history. However, everything changed dramatically in 2001, when the US invaded Afghanistan after the September 11th events. The war lasted for 20 years, until 2021, when the US and its allies withdrew, ending a tragic chapter in the country. In modern history, the Soviet Union spent 10 years in Afghanistan, while the United States and its allies were there for 20 years. Many people wonder why the Afghan government forces were defeated so quickly. There are many reasons. And first of all, we need to understand the Taliban, the force that just won. The Taliban was founded in 1994 in southern Afghanistan by a leader named Muhammad Omar, a rebel commander who fought against the Soviet army in the 1980s. Initially, the force had only about 50 people with a simple goal: to fight corruption and crime. The name, Taliban, means students, expressing the dream of building a better society. However, once in power, the Taliban quickly expanded their influence, taking over the southern provinces and eventually the capital Kabul in 1996. With Afghans frustrated with the instability, they turned to the Taliban as a ray of hope. But that hope quickly faded. After taking power, the Taliban imposed strict Islamic law, banning television and music, barring women from attending school, and forcing them to wear the burqa from head to toe. Notably, the Taliban was a refuge for Osama bin Laden and other al-Qaeda members, who carried out the terrorist attacks on the United States on September 11, 2001. The United States then launched a military campaign in Afghanistan, demanding that the Taliban hand over bin Laden. The Taliban government led by Mohammed Omar was quickly overthrown, and many members fled to Pakistan, while others continued to fight in their homeland. A major milestone came in February 2020, when the US and the Taliban signed a historic deal. The deal set a timetable for the withdrawal of all US troops from Afghanistan within 14 months, but did not involve the current government. This led to fruitless negotiations between the Afghan government and the Taliban. The Taliban are now led by Hibatullah Akhundzada, whom some call the leader of the faithful. The Taliban also maintain a leadership council in Pakistan, which they often retreat to when facing difficulties. The Taliban make most of their money from the drug trade, imposing heavy taxes on poppy growers and opium producers in the territories they control. They also profit from border oil exploration and mineral mine operations. According to NATO research, the Taliban is estimated to earn about $1.6 billion a year from these activities, along with aid from supporters in Pakistan and the Gulf. So why was the Taliban able to win so quickly when the US withdrew its troops? First, the Taliban took full advantage of the situation, quickly capturing many areas in just 10 days from August 6 to 15, 2021. They captured 26 out of 34 provinces, forcing the Afghan president to flee the country. Many times, the Afghan army and police fled or surrendered in the face of the Taliban. The Taliban also implemented clever information strategies, causing confusion among the people. They have even exaggerated the number of their troops, causing local people to panic and try to leave. A big question is, why? Despite the huge investment the US and its allies have made in the Afghan military, has it not been able to become stronger? The US has spent about $83 billion on Afghanistan's defense. But corruption, weak leadership and a personnel crisis have weakened the force. Many security personnel have not received their salaries for months. Even though they are trained and ready to fight, they lack food, water, ammunition and weapons, while many have had to leave their posts to protect their families. An estimated 5,000 members of the Afghan security forces are leaving each month, while only about a tenth of that number is being replenished. When the Taliban takes power, what happens next? The Afghan people are at risk of returning to life as it was during the Taliban's rule from 1996 to 2001. According to 1999 statistics, no girl in Afghanistan was allowed to attend secondary school, and only 4% of the 9,000 primary school-age girls were in school. The return of the Taliban has not only brought major changes to Afghanistan, but has also made the situation in the region more complicated than ever. With the presence of powers such as Pakistan, China, India and Russia, in recent statements, the Taliban has pledged to prevent terrorist groups from finding sanctuary in Afghanistan. However, these are just promises for the future. One important point that many people may be confused about is the difference between the Taliban and al-Qaeda. Many people believe that Osama bin Laden was the leader of Afghanistan, but in fact he was not. The Taliban, with the goal of building an Islamic government in Afghanistan, and al-Qaeda, a global terrorist organization, have their roots in Islamic ideals but have very different goals. The Taliban, led by Mohammed Omar, wants to build a caliphate, that is, a single Islamic government on the territory of Afghanistan. The word caliphate in Arabic means student or learner. In contrast, al-Qaeda, whose name means the base, and led by Osama bin Laden, had a larger goal: to create a worldwide network of Islamic leaders, with the desire for every nation to be led by Muslims. Al-Qaeda was founded in 1988 and initially operated on a small scale. But under bin Laden's leadership, the organization grew into a brutal terrorist machine, specializing in suicide attacks and spreading extremist ideology. Both the Taliban and al-Qaeda were products of outside influences seeking to establish power in Afghanistan. Thank you for following the complex story of Afghanistan, a story that intertwines geography, culture, history, and politics. If you are interested, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss interesting videos from around the world. Goodbye and see you in the next programs.